one aspect of photography for a lot of people that they might struggle with, or they simply, what they see and what they capture are two different things. And essentially this comes down to good composition. And there are schools of thought on composition. I'm sure you've heard things like rule of thirds and those sorts of things, but there's 7 essential rules of composition. But it's a lot of jargon, and probably the simplest way to describe it is storytelling. So what you try to capture with your camera is what you've seen when you are at your scene. So in this case, it's the beach side, the rocks. There's not much happening with the waves. So the best result I can get is to use a blurred timed exposure. So that's a sharp focus on the rocks, but the water itself becomes all milky. So you need to do that off a tripod. It needs to be a stabilized platform. You probably need to shoot it at quite small apertures. And when I say small, I'm talking about letting in the least amount of light or towards that end of the scale. So that means that your shutter or your timed value is going to be longer. And of course, the other way to lengthen that process is to use filters, black glass filters that can give you full, complete stops of light. So at the moment, I've got a 6 stop on this one, and I have got a color polarizer because there's a nice amount of sand under this water, and it's giving it a really lovely greeny teal look. So I wanted to bring that out by using a polarizer to remove the glare. And polarizers are okay, but you have to be careful if you're going to do stitching work or multiple movements of the camera. The direction of the light changes when you do move your camera. So the polarizer is going to give you patches of light if you do quite a few. So if you're only going to do 1 or 2, you'll probably get away with it okay. But that's just a thing to remember with circular polarizers. It's all about the direction of the light hitting. So in terms of composition, I find the most pleasing compositions are ones where it takes your eye into the image. So it almost feels like you're traveling as you look into the image, you're traveling into the scene. So in this particular case, we've got rocks on the right-hand side, to the right of picture, and of course they're finishing somewhere submerged in the water. So it's a matter of what point do we try and get the rocks to look like they are a composition line. So that's what I've done here, and I've got them finishing just around about halfway. So the right-hand third of the image is quite full of rocks and a couple of trees, and then it shallows off. In the background is a mountain, so that's giving you a nice balance to the image, left and right balance. And of course there's a nice bit of colour, and there's a colour in the foreground as well, so that makes it a little bit interesting to look at. So then it's just a matter of getting all of your settings right and capturing the image, and I'll just get this so you can see it. And this is our final product. So we've got a nice strong composition and the storytelling aspect of the long shutter speed. So here's what the final image looked like. And then I also took the advantage of doing a stitch. So I'll show you both because the stitch will give it a more of a panoramic look. But please let me know what you think. And if you've got any questions around doing long exposures, timed value, but in particular the composition of images, just ask away. Only too happy to help. See ya.